This lesson will cover child nutrition or CN labels. The information is found in Chapter 2 of the CACFP Administrative Manual. Processed foods include multiple ingredients and may contribute more than one required CACFP meal component. Product labels generally do not provide enough information to determine how much of each meal component a serving contributes toward meeting meal pattern requirements. For example, how much meat do these breaded chicken nuggets provide? How much grain is provided in the breading? It is impossible to tell based on the product label, nutrition facts label, or ingredient label. To provide crediting information for processed combination foods, USDA has a labeling program for child nutrition programs. The letters CN are the abbreviation for child nutrition. The Child Nutrition Labeling Program is a voluntary federal program. CN labels clearly identify how a serving of commercial combination food products contribute toward meeting meal pattern requirements. To carry CN labels, eligible products must be produced under federal inspection and have the contribution toward meal pattern requirements determined. CN labeled products provide program operators with a warranty against overclaims identified on state monitoring reviews when the product is used according to the manufacturer's instructions. Commercial combination foods must have a CN label, product formulation statement, or be specifically listed in the food buying guide in order to be served on the CACFP. The information they provide is essential in order to know the serving size and how it contributes toward meeting meal pattern requirements. Do not serve commercially processed foods that include more than one meal component unless these requirements are met. Otherwise, you do not know how much to serve or how a serving contributes toward meeting meal pattern requirements. It is never acceptable for a manufacturer to simply state that a product is CN labeled or state that it provides a certain amount of creditable components for child nutrition programs. The product must have an actual CN label. Products that can be CN labeled include main dish products which contribute to the meat or meat alternate component of the meal pattern requirements. Examples of these products include, but are not limited to, beef patties, cheese or meat pizzas, canned pasta, meat or cheese and bean burritos, some lunch meats, egg rolls, breaded fish portions, and chicken nuggets. An example of a CN label is in the CACFP manual. CN labels include the CN logo with a distinct border, the meal pattern contribution statement, a unique 6-digit product identification number in the upper right-hand corner, the USDA FNS authorization statement, and the month and the year of the approval. In this example, a 2.25-ounce fully cooked beef patty provides 2-ounce equivalent meat or meat alternate for the child nutrition meal pattern requirements. These are some additional examples. In the first example, a 4-ounce corn dog provides 2-ounce equivalent of meat and 2-ounce equivalent of grain for child nutrition meal pattern requirements. In the second example, 5.6-ounce fully cooked whole grain breaded ring-shaped chicken patties provide 2-ounce equivalent of meat and 0.75-ounce equivalent of grain for child nutrition meal pattern requirements. In the last example, an 8.31-ounce serving by weight of beef ravioli in meat sauce, 8 pies per serving, provides 2-ounce equivalents of meat or meat alternate and 3/8 cup of vegetable for child nutrition meal pattern requirements. To determine if meat products need a CN label, first see if the item is specifically listed in the food buying guide and read the ingredients list. If the product is not included in the food buying guide, or if the product is listed but contains cereals, binders, and extenders, including starch, soy products, dried milk, or cereal, or animal byproducts such as glands, hearts, and organ meat, it must be CN labeled or a signed product formulation statement from the manufacturer must be obtained. Product formulation statements will be covered in Lesson 14. Examples of foods that may contain cereals, binders, extenders, or animal byproduct ingredients include hot dogs, some preformed hamburgers and Swiss steak, lunch meats, meat analogs such as Boca burgers, and other processed meats. Carefully read labels on these products. Do not serve them unless you have a CN label or product formulation statement. Frankfurters, or hot dogs, and bologna are included in the food buying guide. However, be sure to read the ingredient label before purchasing. If the product does not include cereals, binders, extenders, or byproducts, it is creditable. Use the food buying guide to determine the serving size. If the product does include any of these ingredients, it must be CN labeled, or a product formulation statement must be obtained to serve it in a CACFP meal. Different forms of ham, including ham with water added, are listed in the food buying guide. Note that the serving sizes are larger to account for added water. CN labeled products are more common through large food distributors that sell to schools, but may be found on products sold by bulk retailers such as Sam's Club and Costco. Few, if any, items purchased in regular grocery stores are CN labeled. To help you find CN labeled products, USDA has a website on CN labeling that includes a verification report listing CN labeled products. The list is dated in the upper right-hand corner. CN numbers that appear on the list apply to the CN logo and crediting statement only. It is the manufacturer's responsibility to ensure that the product label meets all other federal labeling requirements. If CN labeled products are purchased, you must read the label carefully to determine how much to serve to meet meal pattern requirements. Use the information on the package label and CN label to complete food production records. You will need to determine the purchase unit, servings per purchase unit, and planned serving size. Record this information in the total amount prepared on the food production record. To complete the food production record, record the name of the item in column 1. In this example, record Gorton's fish sticks. The purchase unit is 4 pounds, or 64 ounces. Enter 4 pounds as the purchase unit in column 2. The planned serving size will be 3 fish sticks. Enter this in column 4. According to the CN label on the package, 3 fish sticks provide 0.5 ounces of meat and 0.5 grain or bread servings. To determine the servings per purchase unit, first check the weight of the planned serving size from the CN label, which is 3 fish sticks. Each fish stick weighs 0.54 ounces. 3 times 0.54 equals 1.62 ounces, which is the weight of a serving. Next, take the weight of the package, in this case 4 pounds or 64 ounces, and divide it by the weight of a serving, 1.62 ounces, to equal 39.5 servings per purchase unit. Enter 39.5 in column 3, servings per purchase unit, on the food production record. In the far right column, record CN to indicate that the product has a CN label. Determine the estimated number to be served and record it in column 5. We will use 60 for this example. Divide 60 by the number of servings per package from column 3, which we calculated is 39.5, to determine how many packages to purchase. 60 divided by 39.5 is 1.52, which should be rounded up to 2. This means you will need to purchase 2 packages of fish sticks and plan to use at least 1.5 packages. Additional training on completing food production records is provided in Module 3. In our example, 0.5 ounces is not enough meat or meat alternate for any age group based on meal pattern requirements. If the serving size is 3 fish sticks or 0.5 ounces, a second meat or meat alternate must be served in quantities needed to meet the portion size requirements for each age group. 1 to 2-year-olds need a total of 1 ounce of meat or meat alternate at lunch. They would need an additional ½ ounce equivalent of a meat or meat alternate to meet the required serving size such as cheese, eggs, or baked beans. Since 3 to 5-year-olds need 1.5 ounces of meat at lunch, an additional ounce equivalent of another meat or meat alternate must be served for this age group. School-age children and adult participants need a total of 2 ounces of meat or meat alternate at lunch. They would need an additional 1.5 ounces equivalent of meat or meat alternate to meet requirements. If fish sticks alone are used to fulfill the meat or meat alternate requirement, it would require a very large serving, which may be unrealistic and expensive. For example, if fish sticks alone are used to fulfill the requirement, 3 to 5-year-olds would need 9 fish sticks. When receiving the required amount of meat or meat alternate, 3 to 5-year-olds would also be getting 3 times the amount of required grain. This may result in filling up on fish sticks and not wanting to eat the fruits and vegetables offered at the meal. For school-age children at lunch, 12 fish sticks would need to be served to provide 2 ounces of meat or meat alternate. These examples illustrate the importance of not only reading the CN label, but properly applying the information correctly to ensure CACFP meal pattern requirements are met and that the plan menu is realistic and affordable. When using CN labeled products, keep the labels on file. This can be the actual label from the package, a picture of the label, or a copy. Keep CN labels in the monthly file when the food was served, or keep in a separate file and record the date when the item was served. The CN label on file must also match the product purchase on the receipt. Check the label each time an item is served and obtain a new CN label when products change. It can be challenging to obtain required documentation when purchasing processed foods. It is recommended to prepare most food from scratch rather than serving processed foods on a regular basis. Food prepared at the center is generally less expensive, and the ingredients can be controlled to make food healthier as well. This concludes the lesson on CN labels. If you have questions, please contact your CACFP consultant or the state agency. Contact information can be found in the front of the manual.